Super Carlin Brothers is sponsored by Raycon. Check out their Everyday Earbuds Classic and get 15% off when you go to raycon.com/supercarlin. What happened to the Fantastic Beast movies? Hey, brother!
Hello.
Originally planned to be a 5-movie expansion of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the Fantastic Beasts movie franchise stalled out hard in 2022 after the release of their 3rd movie, The Secrets of Dumbledore. But how? I mean, Harry Potter is one of the top 10 biggest media franchises in the world, and people were starving for new content, not that they had nothing to go on. For reference, the final Harry Potter book, Deathly Hallows, came out in 2007 with one of the best and satisfying endings to a fantasy series ever. So story over, right? Wrong, because in 2010, the Hogsmeade attraction opened at Universal Studios so fans could go experience the Wizarding Village firsthand. Then the final Deathly Hallows movie came out a year later in 2011, putting what felt like the actual final punctuation mark on the original series. But then just 3 years later, Diagon Alley opened at Universal, giving people 2 different Harry Potter parks to visit, both of which are massively immersive. And fun fact, now there's a 3rd. I mean, it's France in the 1920s, unless you go in the Ministry of Magic, in which case it's London in the 1990s, but you know, whatever. But then on top of that, The Cursed Child came out in 2016, and you could even see Harry Potter on Broadway. I mean, yes, the plot is kooky, but the magic is amazing, and it was new!
New is always better.
Not to mention that in the time from the end of the books through 2016, the fandom remained extremely active. And YouTube itself was part of that. Like, it was growing a lot during this time, and Potterheads had more ways than ever to connect, which lined up perfectly with millennials becoming adults and then pushing the largest fandom of their childhood, I mean, other than Pokemon, onto the internet. Heck, we here, Super Carlin Brothers, literally part of that wave. Not to mention you had other franchises like Star Wars and The Force Awakens coming out at the end of 2015, which was another reboot of this huge dormant media franchise that got people excited about living inside their nostalgia. And even though Fantastic Beasts wouldn't come out to the end of 2016, that didn't matter because they launched it with a huge marketing campaign that involved new lore, new characters, a new school, new houses to be sorted into, new beasts, and all of that felt organically connected to the Wizarding world we already loved. I mean, before the movie even came out, our cups were full. Even the choice of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was great because that was a book we all already owned, and if you didn't, you at least recognized it as a textbook that Harry himself had. I mean, check it, I got my copy right here. Not to mention, who was the leading man in this? Eddie Redmayne, the hot guy from Les Mis and the Academy Award winner from The Theory of Everything? Like, he's the new face of Harry Potter? Yes, please.
Hello.
And then the movie itself came out, and it was awesome. I mean, wizards in America, adult wizards who were just good at magic to begin with. They're not teenagers who are just learning stuff. I mean, you've got Newt Scamander being the most adorable, awkward, relatable, bumbling wizard ever who just wants to take care of his animals, and he's flirting with Tina, who's equally awkward, and please wipe the mustard off your face. And then Colin Farrell is the menacing Percival Graves / Grindelwald, plus Ezra Miller showing up as Credence, the misunderstood orphan boy with great power. Oh, that sounds familiar.
I am the chosen one.
Then there was the introduction of the Obscurus and the floodgate of fan theories that erupted trying to connect Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Harry Potter, and it was all just glorious. The hype was real, you guys, and just 2 short years later, we were met with the second movie, Crimes of Grindelwald, in 2018. But before that, lots more marketing filled with all sorts of juicy nuggets. Oh my god, Nagini, Voldemort's snake, used to be human? What? Dumbledore's going to make an appearance and be played by Jude Law? What? And excuse me, is Zoe Kravitz in this movie? As a Lestrange? Like, as in related to Bellatrix? I mean, no, because Bellatrix married into the family, but like, that's clearly what they wanted you to think. What? The stage was set for a home run in a new era of Harry Potter and the Wizarding world to cement itself in our pop culture. But then the movie happened, and by all accounts, it seemed to have lost its footing from the first one. And that is where everything started to go downhill. Hey, brother! Okay, so where the first Fantastic Beasts movie shone, Crimes of Grindelwald failed. I mean, the whimsy of the new beasts and fetch quests in New York City was gone. The fun awkwardness of the characters was replaced by seriousness and angst, and this is important, almost no single part of the movie made any sense.
Corvus Lestrange is already dead. I killed him!
At least not without leaving the movie theater to go do homework and work out for yourself what had happened. Now, to be fair, we actually got to go to a pre-screening of this movie 2 weeks ahead of time, and when we got to the end and saw that Credence was a Dumbledore, we were, in fact, mind blown. We didn't totally understand, but that didn't matter. That moment was great. We knew that once we got home, we could think about it more and be like, oh my God, how did we miss it? Like, this is so cool. What does this mean? What does that explain? But, spoilers. The homework didn't help. We didn't miss anything, and it didn't and still doesn't really make, a lot of sense. But hey, never mind the ending, because you need to look no further than just the opening scene, which on paper should have just been a thrilling prisoner escape of the dark wizard Grindelwald. I mean, you've got a stormy night, a carriage pulled by Thestrals, the Elder Wand, and body swapping. And did he kill a lizard at some point? Right?
So needy.
Lizard.
And it's fun to watch, but then you're like, but is body swapping a power that wizards have? Can they do that? Do we know about that? We don't. It's not a known power, and it's never explained. In fact, despite the fun special effects, even the most avid Wizarding World fans found themselves confused by this scene. Did Grindelwald let one of his followers use the Elder Wand here? Or is that him and he's already out? But if that's true, then is the whole chase scene just him breaking out one of his followers? Is he nice enough to do that? Okay, who was in the carriage when, and how did they transform? Is this transfiguration? Is this polyjuice?
So we removed his tongue.
Whose tongue got cut out? Like, we spent an entire day here at Super Carlin Brothers breaking down this scene and explaining step by step what happened, and at the end of it, it was still pretty hard to follow. And this is our job. I mean, if you want the full explanation, it's here, but how could casual moviegoers be expected to understand this? Or did they just assume that all of the viewers would mostly be casual people who wouldn't even have questions? Just like, yeah, sure, magic happened. We believe that.
How thick could you get?
I don't know, but somehow they managed to land smack in the middle of the problem, where the casual moviegoers felt like something was missing for it to make sense, but then the hardcore Potter fans knew it didn't make sense, and that's just the first 10 minutes. Never mind the huge build-up for, like, Dumbledore to return, only for him to do nothing?
I cannot move against Grindelwald.
Or the reveal in the trailers that Nagini was a woman, only for her to do nothing? The debut of Nicholas Flamel and a sighting of the Philosopher's Stone, only for it to do nothing. Really thought like maybe Flamel's gonna show up at the end and you're like, who's that guy? And it's like, oh, he used the stone. That's what it looks like when you use it. Oh my gosh. But no. Meanwhile, the main character, Newt, isn't even involved in the main plot. Instead, he just spends the whole movie hunting down Tina to clear up a misprint in the newspaper.
No, so Theseus is marrying Lita, not me.
Seriously, that's what he does. I will say that the beasts in the movie are cool, but they also feel very forced in just because it's called Fantastic Beasts, and they don't even play a role in the final battle, unless you count the Niffler stealing the blood pact, I guess? Which, like, I guess you could, but then Newt kind of ruins it when he says,
Grindelwald doesn't seem to understand the nature of things he considers sinful.
Which, like, I agree with you, but also I don't think that's why he didn't notice he got pickpocketed, you know? Like, that wasn't the reason. When Voldemort underestimates house elves and then Dobby saves Harry and friends from Malfoy Manor, that's what that means. When Grindelwald just doesn't see a Niffler take something out of his pocket, that's not the same thing. And don't get me started on the title, Crimes of Grindelwald, because what were they? What were the Crimes of Grindelwald? Like, yes, his followers do kill that family, and he does kill a bunch of people at the rally at the end, but I would hardly say that his crimes are what's pushing the plot forward. Like, if someone asked you what the movie was about, you wouldn't say, oh, okay, right, so Grindelwald murders this family, and then, like, because of that, see what I mean? And to make matters worse, I bet you forgot that part even happened. But title aside, if you ask me, the bigger issue is that if you did ask somebody what the movie was about, they'd probably say,
Laughing.
because the movie refuses to pick a plot. Instead, it punishes the casual viewers for not being leaned in enough, but then dupes the leaned in viewers with empty promises. I mean, do you have any idea how long me and Ben studied the writing on this sewer wall? And do you know how much of it ends up being relevant? None of it. None of it.
Do you know who Credence really is? Did you know when you swapped them?
No.
And yet that's clearly why it's in the trailer, so that you will pause on it and wonder over it and try and dissect it. If you're curious, the writing on the sewer wall is supposed to be about Credence's mysterious lineage, the loose thread that I guess ties the movie together, but the convoluted steps taken to get all of the characters in the right place to hear an even more convoluted story is just bananas, and it is so hard to keep track of it all.
I am Corvus Lestrange.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay, right, so Lita had a half-brother who was being sent to America to live with a half-elf, which is, like, that's a creature whose origin I don't super, like, want to think about. But then, right then, she's on a boat, and the baby's crying on the boat, and she, like, swaps the baby with another baby. We don't know who that baby is, and then the boat goes down, and her brother drowns, right, and then the baby she took ends up in an orphanage, and then there's this guy named Yusuf, right? He has to fulfill an unbreakable vow, but actually he doesn't have the vow. It's just like it's like a parasite, I think.
Calamari.
There was another guy who was hunting Credence for the movie, and what happened to him? Oh right, nothing. That guy shows up at the beginning of the movie. Newt doesn't like him. He tries to capture Credence, fails, and then he's just gone. And capture him for who? Grindelwald? Like, why? Grindelwald just shows up where Credence is at the end and like talks him to, like, what? And look, I wanted this movie to be good. I went to bat for it over and over. I convinced myself that the convoluted plots were nothing of the sort. They were merely unresolved, confusing setups now for what would be tremendous payoffs later. Unfortunately, though, later was going to be a lot later. And Fantastic Beasts would soon be competing with far more than its unfollowable plot lines. Secrets of Dumbledore wouldn't come out for another 4 years in 2022, and by then, hype had died tremendously for the Fantastic Beasts franchise for a huge number of factors. But that reminds me, and before we dive into what those reasons are, first we do need to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Factor. All right, you know how sometimes you've got like all the right ingredients and it just doesn't quite stick the landing? Yeah, that's usually my meal prep. Big plans, cart full of kale, and somehow pizza. I mean, I'm not complaining, I just, that is until Factor, because lately I have been obsessed with their protein plus chicken and roasted garlic cream sauce. It is loaded with lean protein, colorful vegetables, real whole food ingredients, healthy fats, and none of the junk. There's no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. It's basically the director's cut of healthy eating, which does just mean that it comes in black and white. I'm just kidding, it's full color. But here's the really cool thing is they've got 100 rotating meals every single week. They've got high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean, GLP-1 support, even ready to eat salads, plus the new Muscle Pro collection, which I obviously haven't been using, which is exactly what I'm looking for now, though, maybe I'll try it. But like the best part is that it's always fresh, never frozen, ready in about 2 minutes. No prep, no stress. So check it out by heading to factormeals.com/super50off and use code super50off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active. Okay, back to Secrets of Dumbledore and the reasons it's failed. First of all, COVID happened. This basically shut everything down and pushed back production by years while the actors worked on other projects they already had commitments for. Then there was the JK Rowling of it all, who decided that despite being one of the most beloved people on the planet at the time, that she would just emerge with a very loud and petty anti-trans agenda, seemingly preaching against all the things she wrote about in Harry Potter, which I don't have to tell you, extremely off-putting to most of her fans, including us, but, you know, we said we're not going down without a fight because the magic belongs to everyone, and I refuse, personally, to let her steal Harry Potter from us. Like, Harry Potter belongs to us, the fans. But that wasn't the only trouble brewing, because Ezra Miller, who played Credence, who was the emerging main character, or at least the character whom the plot revolved around, couldn't seem to keep themselves out of the news for a variety of offenses, including strangling a woman, harassment, filming strangers, death threats, larceny. I mean, nothing good. And then there was the ongoing trial between Johnny Depp, who was playing Grindelwald, and his wife, Amber Heard, after an article headlined, "Gone Potty, How Can JK Rowling Be Genuinely Happy Casting Wife-Beater Johnny Depp in the New Fantastic Beasts film?" which was published by The Sun in the UK. And that trial lasted 2 years and went back and forth, left and right, with both sides accusing the other of more and more things. And while a jury ultimately sided with Johnny Depp, I don't think anyone really walked away looking great. And either way, it meant that Grindelwald, the main villain, was recast for the third time in 3 movies. And while I personally think that Mads Mikkelsen did do a great job as Grindelwald, having 3 of the biggest names attached to your project being in 3 separate major controversies during a pandemic when your second movie is already confusing as can be, didn't bode well for Secrets of Dumbledore. And yet, despite all of that, Fantastic Beasts may still have been salvaged if the third movie managed to correct for the mistakes of its predecessor and deliver a fun, coherent trip to the movies that paid off on some of its more confusing mysteries. But it didn't. First of all, the title, again, Secrets of Dumbledore? Like, I'm sorry, who is the main character in this series? Is it Dumbledore or is it Newt? Like, pick a lane and what secrets? Because I think the main one is that Aberforth had a child. So in that case, at best, the title is about Aberforth. You know, the Dumbledore we all mean when we say Dumbledore. Like, great, cool, that's not misleading at all. And also, it's not fun. Oh, and I'm sorry, but is Tina not in this movie?
Tina's not available. Tina's been promoted. She's very, very busy from what I understand.
Are you kidding me? I mean, the sole redeeming conversation in Crimes of Grindelwald is when Newt and Tina are talking about salamanders in the French Ministry of Magic. And she's not in it?
Salamanders.
Oh, wait, no, but it's because the plot is to confuse Grindelwald and to create a bunch of confusion so he can't see the future. Except, wait, this is brilliant. That's a misdirect, because the real misdirect is that not even the characters realize that Bunty is not Bunty but has been Tina the whole time? That's what you're going for? That's why you have Newt just like pining over Tina the whole movie, and his assistant randomly gets like these hot flashes when he walks past her smelling of all hunk and beast pellets. Because it's Tina! Because Newt can't know it's Tina, because if he did, it would reveal Dumbledore's true plan to Grindelwald. Oh my god, that's brilliant! Except no, it's just Bunty. That's it. There's not that... I mean, there's even a line where Bunty says...
No one can know everything, Newt.
Like, that was your opening right there, for it to have been Tina the whole time, to have a cool, fun reveal.
If you were waiting for the opportune moment, that was it.
Nah, but whatever. Instead, just go ahead and write out a main character. Who cared about Tina? Granted, Catherine Waterston had COVID during shooting and literally couldn't be in the movie, so I'm not holding that against her. But the thing is, she still appears at the very end of Secrets of Dumbledore for what is also the only redeeming conversation in the whole movie. Like, can I manifest this? Can Eddie Redmayne and Catherine Waterston just do like a rom-com or something together because they have such great chemistry and I just want a whole movie of it, okay? Please, please, please. But seriously, this is a fantasy world where they can't stop turning into different people as one of the plot devices.
Remember, wow, we're identical.
Like, to not use that plot device here to cover for another actress's sickness, but to keep her character on screen, it's just like, it's bananas. It was so right there. But whatever. Anyways, Secrets of Dumbledore ends up being just as confusing as Crimes of Grindelwald, pretty much top to bottom. And perhaps even more inexcusable was the retconning it does to other plot elements. Like, for example, at the end of Deathly Hallows in King's Cross, Dumbledore tells Harry about the duel he had with Grindelwald and how he didn't see him from the time he left Godric's Hollow until that point. He didn't see him until the duel. But maybe it was a secret meeting. Secrets of Dumbledore. I get it. It's a meeting the rest of the world couldn't possibly know how. No, what? It's literally nationally Sky televised? Oh, okay, never mind. Also, what wizard technology is this, by the way? Like, what? Could the whole world have been watching the Triwizard Tournament with these cool little banner things? Because this is before then. So you'd think by then, maybe they have it in like HD or 4K or something. But then Secrets of Dumbledore happens and just breaks the canon here, which, you know, it might be okay, right? Except in King's Cross, the whole a huge part of that conversation is that Dumbledore is supposed to be coming clean to Harry about everything and telling him the whole truth, like at long last. And it's kind of a big moment because Harry has to decide if he's going to come back to life or not. And now you're ruining it by retroactively making Dumbledore a liar to Harry at the climax of the series. But hey, whatever, right? At least we got a duel between Dumbledore and Grindelwald, right? It's 20 years earlier than Dumbledore says it happens, and it was about as magically creative as milk. But their wands do connect for some reason in a very priori incantatum kind of way. So what does that mean? They have like brother wands like Voldemort and Harry did, but then Grindelwald has the Elder Wand, which means then does Dumbledore have like, is this brand new Deathly Hallow lore? Because that would be cool, right? At least we could salvage that. But no, nothing, nada, zilch. But hey, remember when the Niffler stole the blood pack? At least they came up with a really cool way to get around the blood pack, right? Because that was the main problem that was established at the end of the last movie, right? Yeah, so I reckon just like 3 guys will just shoot it, right? Sound good? But even that's not it. I mean, Grindelwald and Albus and Dumbledore all just shoot 3 spells that happen to collide, and one of them, Albus, is holding the blood pact, and for some reason, those 3 spells colliding make the blood, because Aberforth, oh, but wait, is it because the blood pact had something to do with the Ariana duel, the Obscurus younger sister who dies, and the guilt of which lives in 2 of the 3 men? And will we get like a flashback to further explain this massively important detail and how it solves Credence's own obscurial affliction? Nope. It's not that. Credence is just Aberforth's son from a woman we don't know, and the blood pact just, happens to be nearby when this happens and it breaks, so that's cool. Was Aberforth actually required for this? He had nothing to do with it, right? He wasn't part of the blood pact, but he needed to because... And I just kept wanting to think I just, wasn't smart enough to understand, the depth of the plot. It has to be genius if you can be smart enough to see it. But guys, we are the biggest Harry Potter channel on YouTube. And if we don't get it right away, then that's a problem. Because we are really trying. Which brings us to now, where at present there is no plan in motion to ever make the 4th movie of a planned 5, by the way, which it makes me sad because despite how confusing the 2nd and 3rd turned out, I still want to know how the story ended, and now it just feels like we never will, and that sucks. If they're not going to make them, I feel they at least owe us what the ending was going to be. But for now, the series is parked, and Warner Brothers is focusing on the new HBO series, which I am looking forward to. I suppose the deep down optimist in me on this particular subject likes to think that there were another 20 years worth of time between when the last movie ended and the fifth one was supposed to have ended. So if they ever do pick it up, at least maybe the actors will have like naturally aged properly, you know? But yeah, I'm not holding my breath. But I'd love to know from you guys, what do you think would have happened in the last two movies? Like, would Hagrid have showed up? Would we have any Tom Riddle crossover? Would we find out that that Phoenix was Fawkes? Would we see Dumbledore give the tail feathers to Ollivander? Like, there were so many cool things we could have learned about, but I don't know. Leave me your thoughts in the towel section down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to leave a like on it and subscribe so you don't miss any future Harry Potter action from us. If you want to see our full theory about how Grindelwald and Dumbledore probably did have brother wands, you can check out that video right here. But otherwise, guys, don't forget, ducks, they go in cups.
Cedric, we have to get back to the cup. What is... Get back to the cup! Ah! Who are you? What do you want? Kill the spare! Avada Kedavra! No!